I want to tell you one more thing I know about the Negro.
Bundy's 15 minutes of fame are now 15 minutes of infamy.
I've often wondered, are they better off as slaves, picking cotton, having family lives, and doing things?
Lawmakers who saw him as a patriot just last week.
And there's always at least a half a dozen people sitting on the porch. They didn't have nothing to do.
Come on, boys!
Because they never learned how to pick cotton.
The way you lollygagging around here with them picks and them shovels.
Or are they better off as slaves?
When you was slaves, you sang like birds.
Or are they better off under government subsidy?
This is a welfare cowboy.
And I've often wondered.
Well, we'll see what Ted Cruz, Mike Huckabee, and others who've supported Mr. Bundy, what they say.
His comments are beyond repugnant.
If they come back, I'll be out there with you.
Beyond repugnant to me.
There is major concern that the federal government could be eyeing yet another massive land grab. This time, it's northern Texas. Now, the state's Attorney General Greg Abbott is warning that the BLM wants to seize over 90,000 acres of land near the Red River, close to the border of Oklahoma. There is shocking new video of the destruction left behind by the Bureau of Land Management after it took over Cliven Bundy's ranch. According to online reports, a former Nevada sheriff claims that his sources inside the federal government say that the Bureau of Land Management may be quietly planning to raid the Bundy ranch. Frankly, I thought there was a lack of proportionality here by the government and snipers and surrounding your ranch and taking your cattle. None of it made any sense, and I think there's got to be a more peaceful way. Do you worry that, in fact, they may kill either your dad or somebody in your family?
Is there any doubt Sean Hannity is a huge Cliven Bundy supporter?
Harry, get your army out of Nevada. Get your army away from my ranch and off Clark County public land. And keep it out. And if they come, we'll deal with them tonight. Every county sheriff across the United States disarm the federal bureaucrats. Take the federal United States bureaucrats' guns away. I do break federal laws, evidently, if they're really laws. These feds, I don't recognize their jurisdiction or authority, so no, I wouldn't go with them.
If I was scheduled to be out there tonight, if this didn't end this weekend, if they come back, I'll be out there with you.
Well, what a beautiful day. And, you know, I'm all excited. All of these cameras, the media must have something to tell me.
By now, you probably know a thing or two about Nevada rancher Cliven Bundy. If you watch Fox News, you know him as a patriot.
What's going on? Tell me the problem.
Well, I guess it's a range war. That's all I can say.
One-man army of hope fighting off the creep of big government.
My statement to the American people, I'll do whatever it takes to gain our liberties and freedom back.
He also wears a cowboy hat. But from the beginning, there were some issues with Bundy's side of the story. Issues like he owes the government over $1 million in fees and fines. His cattle have been trespassing on federal land for 2 decades. His parents bought the land in question in 1948, not 1877. And Cliven Bundy himself doesn't believe in the federal government.
I don't recognize the United States government as even existing.
Yet conservatives continue to take Cliven Bundy's side in his battle with big government.
I have a problem with the federal government putting citizens in the position of having to feel like they have to use force to deal with their own government.
We have to balance the needs of a turtle and the needs of man and the needs and the rights of property owners.
What Senator Reid may call domestic terrorists, I call patriots.
But that belief in Bundy was surely tested after the New York Times published a report last night quoting the man himself. Pro tip, it's probably never a good idea to start a sentence with the words, "I want to tell you one more thing I know about the Negro." As the Times reports, Bundy said that to one reporter and one photographer, and then recalled an experience he had driving past a Nevada public housing project. And because they were basically on government subsidy, so now what do? They abort their young children. They put their young men in jail because they never learned how to pick cotton. And I've often wondered, are they better off as slaves, picking cotton and having a family life and doing things? Or are they better off under government subsidy? They didn't get no more freedom. They got less freedom. Bundy supporters were quick to defend their man. The Facebook group Bundy Ranch posted, "We all know that with the media, words are taken out of context, meanings are twisted, and they can take anything and turn it into what they want it to be." Meanwhile, Bundy himself appeared on the Alex Jones radio show to say the Times got it wrong.
Are those quotes accurate? Because you told me that's not exactly what you said.
No, that's not exactly what I said. I did say that they're aborting, the young women are aborting their babies, and the young men are in jail. When they was back in the South, they were in the front of their porch as a family unit, and they had chickens and gardens to take care of, and their men were out working. I didn't have to say nothing about picking cotton, but they were out working.
Wow, sir, I got to stop you. This is bombshell. This is bombshell. You're telling me you did not say picking cotton?
No, I did not say picking cotton.
Unbelievable.
It would be unbelievable had Bundy not been standing in the presence of a video camera. Within the hour, Media Matters posted the tape.
I want to tell you one more thing I know about the Negro. When I go through Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, and I would see these little government houses, and in front of that government house, the door was usually open, and the older people and the kids, and there's always at least a half a dozen people sitting on the porch. They didn't have nothing to do. They didn't have nothing for their kids to do. They didn't have nothing for their young girls to do. And because they were basically on government subsidy, and so now what do? They abort their young children. They put their young men in jail because they never learned how to pick cotton. And I've often wondered, are they better off as slaves picking cotton, having family life and doing things, or are they better off under government subsidy?
Transfer. They just transferred it, that's all.
Yeah, they didn't get no more freedom. They got less freedom.
After the video was released, Bundy went on a different radio show, and it just got worse.
I said, I'm wondering if they're better off under government subsidy, and their young women are having abortions, and their young men are in jail, and their older women and their children are sitting out on the cement porch without nothing to do. I'm wondering, are they happier now under this government subsidy system than they were when they were slaves and they was able to have their family structure together and chickens and a garden, and the people had something to do? And so, in my mind, I'm wondering, are they better off being slaves in that sense, or better off being slaves to the United States government in the sense of subsidy? I'm wondering. That's what the statement was right. I am wondering.
Maybe all of those conservative icons and Republican politicians should have thought twice before they embraced a scofflaw deadbeat crank. Because really, who could have predicted?
Joining me now is Nevada political journalist John Ralston, host of Ralston Reports, which is broadcast on Nevada NBC affiliates. Well, John, are you as shocked, absolutely shocked, that Cliven Bundy has these views as I am?
Yes, and we're sounding just like all these conservatives tonight. Chris, we're acting like Claude Rains in Casablanca. They're shocked to discover that this guy happens to be a racist, in addition to your very apt description of him as a deadbeat crank. This is just, it's so embarrassing to see people like Sean Hannity and Dean Heller now do their faux outrage that they can't believe that this guy was actually like this. And then the last clip that you played was the most telling, Chris, because what did he say after all of this? The statement was right. And really, he was just wondering. He didn't say it. He wondered, like we wonder whether people who were oppressed under dictators might have been better off under the dictators. And of course, how we think about slavery as just being able to tend to your garden.
Something to do.
Because it was benign. Yeah, I mean, come on.
Well, and here's the thing. I am amazed that people didn't see this coming. I mean, everyone, you've been coming on our air, we've been watching this and saying, look, this guy, if I was being paid to give advice to people on the other side of the ideological spectrum for myself, I would say, guys, steer clear of this guy. And you know Nevada politics, you kind of know the Bundy story, and I think you've been amazed that people have allowed themselves to become associated with the Cliven Bundy story when, in context, the guy really is way out there and really a crank and not someone anyone wants to be associated with.
Yeah, very few politicians, although there were some, Chris, decided that discretion was the better part of valor, didn't embrace this guy, didn't say that all those supporters up there, as Dean Heller did, are patriots. But I'm much more concerned now that not that the 12 years a slave didn't come to the Bunkerville drive-in for the Bundy family to see it, but that now all these folks are saying this is distracting from the real issue, which is the BLM and Harry Reid. No, it's distracting, all right, from the issue that you brought up before. This guy's a welfare cowboy. He's not a victim. He's not a hero. He's been made into a hero by the likes of Dean Heller and Sean Hannity and Rand Paul and others who are suddenly doing their best imitation of scalded dogs. So the guy's a complete crank and a racist, and he's an anachronism in many ways, Chris. The fact is they never should have embraced him based on the facts, based on the facts themselves.
Here's what really got me. He keeps talking. These folks are living under subsidy. That's the word he used. These folks are living under subsidy. Okay. This is per unit, per cow-calf combination, per month cost of grazing fees on federal land. The amount that he won't pay, $1.35. The market price in the western United States per cow-calf per month is $16.80. The federal government so subsidizes federal grazing fees to the tune of $15+ per cow-calf a month, and even that welfare is not good enough for him to take.
That's right, because he's standing up for a greater principle here, Chris, which is that the federal government of the United States does not exist and that his freedom is being oppressed. Think about the intellectual gymnastics it takes to be standing up for freedom and yet saying that African Americans should still not be free. That's a real tough way to make an argument, right? And of course, this is not that much money. Of course, it's accrued now over 20 years. Many other ranchers pay these fees, but that's why this is so astonishing that people are now doing their Claude Rains act and acting like they're shocked that this guy is way out there.
I'm not calling him a racist, but I don't see a great deal of difference between Paul Ryan's comments about lazy inner city people who really just don't want to work and this guy suggesting that they abort their babies and they somehow, instead of picking cotton in slavery, are being subsidized by the government. There is a continuum of racialized beliefs that has to at least acknowledge the connection between on the one hand, the arguments about race that are implicit and the arguments on race on the other hand that are quite explicit.
His comments are beyond repugnant to me. They are beyond despicable to me. They are beyond ignorant to me. And my level of anger is about, go back and listen to Democrats every election year. They want to say Republicans what? Or conservatives what? That conservatives are racist. So people that, for the right reasons, saw this case as government overreach now are like branded because of the ignorant, racist, repugnant, despicable comments of Cliven Bundy.